good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you tune in. I'm your local shaman, Lady Lighthouse, and welcome to the Light Network. No, no intro or no, we're getting started, no, whatever. I am just coming on, coming on today. Oh my gosh, okay. I suddenly feel really emotional. So I've been reading this book which was gifted to me on my birthday by Kesla, one of my lovely members here, community members here in the Light Network, and it's called "Saved by the Light" by Dannion. Well, it's the story of Dannion Brinkley, and I'm just reading like a couple chapters at a time, taking notes, and then coming on and talking about it. And so I read the chapters 3 through 5, guys. And it's so funny because if you miss the first, like me talking about the first part, it's like very high level. The person that this book is about is someone who got struck by lightning. I believe they got struck by lightning twice, but we're only in the first part. They got struck by lightning, had a near death experience, and it's kind of sharing what they experienced and everything like that. And so the number 13 has been coming to me a lot recently where um, hold on, I was clearing something. Okay. The number 13 has been coming to me a lot recently, and I see it. I mean, I'm very big into numerology, but I see it as um, it's come to me in my power symbol of love, where it's like I have the 12-point star, but the middle one is symbolizing the 13. Um, it was popping up yesterday for me in several instances. It came up in this book a couple times. Um, Literally in these chapters, it came up several times where it was like there were the person who was kind of going through like their life review. After the life review, they got to like this hall and they got to interact with these 13 beings of light, but it was like 12 were all very the same and kind of representing the different like zodiacs or emotions or traits. Like you could think of it as zodiacs, but it was like more than zodiacs. It was like they each embodied a specific like emotional energy. But then the 13th one felt, more powerful, and it was more of like a deep blue within. Um, and I just get like I get so many chills when I say that, and I think about that too because um, I think I'm allowed to share it in this space, but I've had. So I work a lot with light in my Reiki and in just I work a lot. I work a lot with light when it comes to helping others heal and moving energy, and like I'm very connected to the different like energy or emotional energies in the body. Um, and a lot of the stuff I'll do is working with different rays of light. So you might have, if you're familiar in the spiritual realm, um, you might have heard of like the violet flame, and that's very common with like Saint Germain being kind of the main person that brought that into the space. But everyone can use the violet flame. It's a energy transmuter tool. You use it like it. I don't want to put any like specific guidelines on it because it comes to you naturally. Like it will come to you, like you will feel called to use it when you're meant to use it. Um, don't force it. At least that's how it's been to me, and that would be my recommendation. Is like don't force it. Just you know, if you feel like I want to call upon it, trust that it's a good energy transmuter. Um, but I recently learned, and I was just kind of checking because when this first thing came to me, it was kind of like the message was around like don't keep that to yourself for the time being, and it feels like it's ready to kind of be shared here a little bit more. That's what came to me right around the period of time that I was kind of waking up to my shamanism was uh, the sapphire flame. And I couldn't really find anything about it online. Um, I could see stuff about like the sapphire, like sapphire light, and a flame is light. I don't know. That it feels like the sapphire flame feels different than sapphire light. Like the sapphire flame feels like when I say sapphire flame, like oh, I feel it deep within my chest. And what do I what wants to come forward? What do I hold on. No, I'll keep kind of going there where it's like the sapphire flame has come to me. Um it's shared its specific uses, and I guess the reason I'm being so hesitant about sharing too much about it is because it's a very powerful flame. Um and kind of the message I've received around it is like if the person is like the person that is receiving that flame is not open to it or not in the right headspace for it, it can cause more harm than good. And so that's why it's like there's some caution of sharing too much about it. But I've been shown um, I've been shown that it's a very powerful flame when it comes to like mental health. And there's a very hold on. And it was like, and there's a very, and the reason I pause is because I'm checking in to be like, guys, are you really wanting me to share this right now? And it feels like yes. So we keep going, and I will just assume that if I start blubbering and my sentences stop, that it will just be that will be my sign of like okay, or the stream shuts down. That'll be the sign of like, and they didn't want me to keep going. So, um, okay. So, anyways, the sapphire flame. It's come to me. It's meant to be used with mental health, and it's meant to. But if someone, like I said, is not in the right mental head space for it, um, it could cause, like, the message I've received is like it could cause more harm than good, and I imagine that would mean like it might cause more like an overwhelming sensation in the brain, or kind of like an overwhelming sensation, like an overwhelming download situation happening, where it might feel like you might feel like you go into like a psychosis or psychotic break. Um, that's kind of like the caution that's around it, and that's why using it or like I'm sharing it. I've been I've been hesitant to share it, but also it feels like it's meant to be shared right now. Um, but it does feel like how it gets used is meant to be only on the head. The violet flame doesn't go anywhere else. It is just strictly a, a flame to call upon for your headspace, for healing, for mental health, and where it's placed is on the back of the head. It's placed when using Reiki. Um, it's placed on the back of the head, like right at the like I don't know, base of the skull, top of the neck. Um, and that, if you're not familiar, is kind of associated with the like mouth of God chakra. It's like an unknown one, or it's at least that's what I've I've learned it to be is the mouth of God chakra. Uh, teach their own. Maybe you've heard it said something else, but like an energy point right there at the base of your skull. Um, but that's where it gets used. Just pausing for a second. So, anyways, the number 13. the 13th being the one that had a deeper blue within, and I feel that connection with the sapphire flame with that 13th being. Um and so that just, I don't know. We're processing some things live in this moment because I just finished and I felt like I needed to come talk, and so we're talking off the cuff. We're not out here prepping this other than me taking a couple notes of things that I like highlighted during my like reading. You're just getting me. uh or like what's coming to me and what's coming to me. So anyways, I don't know how that all connects necessarily, but it just feels impactful. And I also think of numerology with like the number 13 is like you look at with numerology for whatever reason this particular number. I don't When I get double digits or triple digits, sometimes I feel called to add them together, but I hardly ever feel like I need to like subtract them. But there are like hidden numbers within the main number, so it's like, oh, you got 13. Well, if you add them together, then you have 4. And if you subtract them together, you get 2. But then you also have the power of 1 and the power of 3. And so, but for this particular number is the one number that I've come across where I feel like it is important to like separate each of those out or like highlight each of those numbers. So the number 13 is not only the power of 13, it's the power of 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you're into numerology, check out all those different things because it's, you know, such a powerful number, and start to maybe look for uh 13s in your life because it's just such a powerful, like it just feels like a very divinely guided number. Um, and learning that they're like the 13 beings of light and like associating with the energies. I've like heard or I've seen inklings of that too, like come across my way. And I was like, yeah, yeah, I feel it. I feel it. uh, and I just kind of like reflect with myself where I'm like, oh, I am so, yeah, I'm like, one of the things I love about movement and music and sound is being able to connect to all of the different energies or emotional energies. And it's just like you can personify them and you can have your different energies within you, but I think you're also connecting when you connect to the different emotional energies within you, you're also connecting to these 13 beings of light. Um, because neither like nothing none of them is like good or bad. They just are. Okay, we're gonna keep going. All right. So next, as I was reading, that's my 13 beings of light. I get to right around the 13-minute. I think it was like 13:33. Love that. Love that for us. Uh, page 30. Let's see. So the next thing that was like coming up for me, and I made a note, it was like ask and you shall perceive, and like you hear the term ask and you shall receive. Um, and I thought this was interesting, calling out as ask and you shall perceive, because in the book they're talking about how they were exploring the essence of like what these light beings were, and they're like, in a split second, I understood how light works, the way in which spirit is incorporated into the physical life, and why it's possible for people to think and act in so many different ways. Ask and you shall perceive is the way I sum it up. And I think about this, or like the way this kind of comes up for me in my life, and kind of like the message coming forward is like this is why curiosity or having a curious mind is so important for healing and growing and finding love, because asking the question allows that answer to be created and that answer to come to you in the time that it's meant to. That's why it's almost like it's why I love doing jigsaw puzzles, and we'll see if this connects for you. If not, I don't know. Maybe we'll see what something else comes up. But this is why I love like doing jigsaw puzzles, because I'm not someone that will, oh, I'm looking for this one particular piece and I'm like, I won't stop until I find that one piece. Like, I'm not that type of person. I'll be like, oh, I'm looking for this particular piece. But if I do a quick glance and I don't see it right away, I just start looking for other ones. It's like I don't stay hung up on the question. And I think that's the important part with the ask and you shall perceive is like you don't, or you ask and you shall receive is like don't stay hung up on the question. Like get curious and then like let it go. So with the jigsaw puzzle, it's, I'm looking for that piece. If I don't see it, if it doesn't stick out to me fairly quickly, then I ask the next question. It's like, okay, what about this piece? Or what might be a texture or color grouping that I could do next, and I'll like go work on that. And the funny thing is it's like as I'm working on something else and I'm like making progress over here, suddenly I find that other piece and I'm like, oh, there it is. Like, so it's kind of the message here is like get curious, and it's really good to have curiosity, but don't get hung up on your asking one question over and over and over again. Like ask the question and then move on. And allow that answer to come to you, or you to discover that answer when it's meant to, because it will come. The answer will come. Okay. The next part I wanted to talk about was is talking about watching Russia. This might be a little more political, but this is going to be interesting, I think. I don't know. It was interesting for me. So basically how we got to this point, um, like I said, the person's going, they're dead. They're in a city of light. They're in front of these 13 light beings. One by one, these light beings are coming up and like basically giving them visions of the future. And I should call out that the thing about the visions, and something that I do want to say too before I get to the end, is like they do point out that, the future can change. It's not written in stone. It's just like we as humans need to kind of know what where our path is heading to be able to make adjustments. And so one of the things that they called out was, it said, watch the Soviet Union. How the Russian people go, so goes the world. What happens to Russia is the basis for everything that will happen to the economy of the free world. Granted, I will point out, like, this was, they died or had this experience back in, like, 1975. So, 50 years ago. But there's a decent amount of things that they've highlighted in here that like did come to fruition. But it felt important to call out this Russian aspect right now, because being in America, at least me in America right now, I try not to stay too in the news and in the things, because that is so fear-based and I don't choose to live in fear. However, it does feel important to, again, point out that it's like how the Russian people go, so goes the world. What happens to Russia is the basis for everything that will happen to the economy of the free world. I don't know. It just feels like I need to bring that here to. That's just like a little nugget, mic drop moment. Happens to Russia is the basis for everything that will happen to the economy of the free world. I feel like, jokingly, I'm like, I feel like we need to target our efforts at helping Russia, but not in the, like, how do I want to say? We need to spread love and light to Russia. uh, yeah, that's crazy to think about. It's also funny because I am part Russian. I believe I have Russian heritage. Um, mm, that felt that felt important to call out. And I'm just like feeling all sorts of tingles. It's like I said that, and then all of a sudden it was like a light bulb of like, yes, my love. Like, oh, I just had to talk it out loud to figure it out. Um, how the Russian people go, so goes the world. What happens to Russia is the basis for everything that will happen to the economy of the free world. Well, if that's true, and if we're using me as an example, and not necessarily Russia, the country, but me being a Russian person or partially Russian, or very partially Russian, um, let me tell you. Well, I mean, if that's the case, and we're using my story, well, my story is like I've lived many lives, and I went through lots of pain and suffering, but I overcame it, and I healed it, and I faced it, and I learned, and I grew, and I learned how to love. I learned how to feel love, be loved, experience love, give love, and I think everyone else is capable of that. So if that's the case, be like the Russian people. Be like babushka here. And overcome your pain and suffering because it's possible. I like it. I like it. It's a fun. That's a fun little one. uh okay. The next part I wanted to call out was on page 46. Um and it's talking about World War III, or like the potential of a World War III. And that feels really um well, I don't know. I mean, I've heard inklings where people feel like that's happening right now or in the midst, and or everyone's just like there's been a lot of, even as I've been growing up, everyone's been really afraid of a World War III, which fair. Fair. Uh but the thing that they call out in the book, and I highlighted this section, and this is like a message from one of the beings of light, where it's like the fear these people are feeling is an unnecessary one, but it is a fear so great that humans will give up all freedoms in the name of safety. And I just want to let that sink in for a second. The fear these people are feeling is an unnecessary one, but it is a fear so great that humans will give up all freedoms in the name of safety. I don't know about you. It makes me emotional. Like reading this makes me emotional because I can feel the fear, I can feel the sadness, and also I'm like the like warrior mother type of energy in me wants to be like, don't be afraid, my loves. And I know that's easier said than done, but it and that's part of the reason why I started Lady Lighthouse. That's part of the reason I've gone on my journey. That's part of the reason why I'm putting myself out there to share my stories and to help others with the resources that I've what I've learned and discovered too in my own journey, because it's like there's so much fear in the world. And how do I want to put this? I want to say that we have the power, you have the power as a human, as an individual, as a person, you have the power to change your state of being, to change your state of mind, to reclaim your power, to reclaim your joy, to not live in fear. Um, yes, there are things that can occur that will bring up the emotion of fear. Fear is a natural response. We can't eliminate feeling fear ever, just like we can't eliminate ever feeling pain. Like pain, you're gonna feel pain in your life. But you get to choose whether you're going to allow that to cause you to suffer. And so, because pain is anything, like pain can happen to anyone. Pain will happen. Like you stub your toe, you're going to be in some amount of pain. But you get to choose whether or not you're going to remain in a victim state and live from a state of suffering, from a state of fear, from a state of survival. Um, but I will say, living in a state of survival, living in a state of fear, constant fear, is I want to be sensitive to the fact that I know that there are places in the world that um, their reality is much more tumultuous than mine. So I do acknowledge that. Um, but if you're living in a country uh, like the United States or a more developed country where, you know, wars aren't being fought like on your doorstep, then it becomes more about hold on. I'm feeling if I want to go that route or if I'm wanting to. No, I think I'm gonna stop there for a second because I I think it's valid for both places. I think it's valid to feel fear. I think it's valid to be afraid. I think it's valid to, especially especially with all the content and information we see day in and day out on your feed. Like fear spreads. Uh, Fear ignites an emotion with it, like a strong emotion in you, and it causes you to go in a survival state, a fight, flight, freeze, fawn state. And so it activates your nervous system. And so if you keep seeing or you keep experiencing things that are um, fearful or activating to your nervous system, you eventually, even though your body is getting like worn and worn out and eventually like, breaking down from the heightened state of stress, like you become so comfortable in that state, or like that's just like the way you know life to be, that you're like, I don't know, like no, I have to be like this all the time, and you just kind of feel like wired all the time. um that becomes a habit, that becomes a pattern, that becomes a state of your nervous system that you become accustomed to, even if it's not an enjoyable sensation or an enjoyable way to live. You've just gotten used to it. um and so for anyone that's living in that like heightened state of survival, like becoming aware that that's where how your nervous system is living is the first step, because well, actually not even because, it's like that's the first step to reclaiming your power, to finding finding like a relaxation, a joy, just a better feeling. like you don't even need to go to love if you're not there yet. Like go to uh go to oh, exhaustion. Like instead of being pain, it's like, all right, I'm exhausted. All right, great. Feel exhausted for a bit. And then it's like after you get out of exhaustion, it's like, okay, now since you're like, allow your body to rest, and once your body rests, then it's like, okay, great. Now reach for something a little bit nicer. So if you're no longer exhausted, now it's like we're reaching for, I don't know, to just go through the day as like mundane neutral as possible. And then it's like once you get past that, then it's like, okay, now I want to have a little bit more fun in my life. So now reach for that joy, that play, that fun, like just like step by step you can rise out of fear, um, and into love. And the other thing I'll put here, before I kind of go to that question, is our minds. I love this. I Our minds are so cool. But one of the things I've learned through my different like trainings and certificate programs and schooling and everything else is like our minds are cool as shit. And you're it's like your biggest competitor and your biggest the biggest battle you will face is going to be the one with your mind, to be honest. And recognizing that your mind has different parts, and also the fact that it's malleable because we have gray matter and you can rewire your brain. And that's why I love using the analogy that your brain is like a computer, like a computer or an operating system, because when you're growing up, you are like absorbing, you're like machine learning or AI, like you're machine learning. You're learning all the things that are going on around you, how to behave based on what you see, what you're ingesting, like the information you're ingesting, how people are interacting, the energy you're feeling or picking up from people. Um, and so you are in essence a bit of a product from all of these different things. And the cool part about being a human and having a brain is, and being autonomous, is the fact that we can go delete old programs if we don't want them anymore, and we can download new ones. And so it's like, delete the fear file and download the joy file. Like, I know that's a very like basic, or like a very, I guess, dumbed down version of how computers work, but that's our brains are very similar to that, where you can download new information, you can let go of new information, you can like, clear, cancel, delete old information, be like, no, I'm good, I don't need to get that, like store that information. Our brains are so cool. All right, so your question is, do you think souls chose the place they are now to experience some kind of lesson or experience, or is it just noise because ultimately the only thing you can monitor is your own state, or is it both? Yeah, I believe that our souls, whenever we come to Earth, that we chose when to incarnate, and that we, like, there are certain lessons that we signed up to learn, and then there's other ones that just kind of happen along the way, but like that there are certain milestones that we will hit, or that we came here with the intention of learning. um but I very much believe that we came at the specific time in the specific way, uh, to co-create, to learn, to co-create, and co-create with source, our master computer. I guess we're sticking with the computer analogy right now. But, or like that said, you are only responsible for you and you alone. Yes, we are all connected, and that's kind of where I go with like the boundary book situation, is like we're all connected, but we're also, I like my little triangle. I like my little, I don't think I have my drawing in front of me, but if you think of like your survival self, or your survival mind slash your ego mind, your higher self slash like your internal like spirit, and then source, like that's your holy trinity. Or, like that's how I view the holy trinity. They all mean the same thing: higher self, ego self, source, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, whatever. They all represent the same type of thing, or the same concept. I just like using ego self, higher self, source. And so we all have a connection to source, but we also have two parts that are our own, And while we're all connected to this like source blob, we are all individuals, and we can decide, who can come in from the source blob to us, or like what energy can come in from the source point to us. That might be getting a little more big brain, or like a little more like floaty conversation than I was going for, but I don't know. We'll drop that in. If it resonates, great. If it doesn't, we keep going. All right. But this all does like tie in really nicely, because the other thing that I wrote down was how we all came to Earth to co-create. And then use the word God. I don't particularly like using the word God. And that probably has more to do with my own like religious upbringing of like who the word God represented. I like source. I like spirit. Just because it feels more homey. Feels more chill to me, whereas God feels like, I feel like God was put on like a pedestal as a masculine figure for me growing up, and I'm like, no. Source, again, this is my own speaking, my own journey and what I've come to learn. So use your own discernment, and if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's okay. But what I've come to know source to be is both the masculine and feminine. It is a father and a mother. It is, the yin and the yang. It is all, both and. And it's both fascinating to think about and funny to think about, and also can be discouraging to think about at times, to think like, oh, we are a part of source and we came to Earth to co-create, but we are like a giant computer. Like, we're helping a giant computer. We are a part of a giant computer that is just ever expanding and learning and growing by creating like little snippets of ourself, in different versions, and just seeing what happens, Yeah. And I think it's so fascinating to learn. It's so fascinating to think about this idea of being like, if I was a god, or if I was a creator of, like, if I was the first creation. And I think I saw a video about this, and so I might be quoting some of their stuff, but, or like that's kind of what's coming to mind, where it's like, if I was a god, or if I was a creator and I was all alone, all right, well, what am I going to do? Well, I'm gonna if I'm alone, it's like, well, what can I do? Like any machine learning algorithm, it's like, well, what can I do? You start kind of testing different things. It's like, okay, what does this do? What does this do? How does this do? I like that response? Do I not like this response? Where should this go? And you just start playing with different things, and so it's like, okay, once they create a bunch of like fun and joy and you like live out your wildest dreams, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I want to feel the opposite now. So then I go have some pain and suffering. You're like, all right, well, that was interesting. Learn some things there. And then you start creating more and more little branches of ways to learn or things to learn. And here we are. Here we are, humans, a product of source, being curious. And so that's why it's like we are co-creators with source. We are co-creators of God. God is within us. Source is within us. We are all a part of the same like machine learning computer, if you want to use the computer analogy. Um, yeah, an infinite way to experience yourself. Yeah. So freaking cool. Hold on. All right. I think the last thing that I came on here, yeah, the last thing I came on here to talk about for right now, and then I'll probably go eat some lunch and then come back and return to my normally scheduled programming, um, was like spiritualistic capitalism, like that concept, and changing. Because a lot of what this book was talking about, or like the chapters that I had read so far, was talking about like, the fall of religion and kind of the chaos that is ensuing in the world as religion is falling and people are becoming disconnected from God. And again, um, I'll use word source, as people are being disconnected from source. And I, first of all, totally understand why that happened. It makes a lot of sense given the fact that so many human elements or ego elements were placed in the teachings of who like source was or source is. And I think that goes a little bit back to the fear. Hold on, I'm this one's kind of formulating as we're going. Give me just a second. The message that feels important to get across about spiritualistic capitalism is the fact that you don't need a religion to treat others kindly. You don't need a religion to believe in love. You don't need a religion to share similar values with one another and choose what kind of values you want to live your life by. Um, Religion has been decent for building communities, and then the spiritual world has unfortunately had some bad players that have done some bad things that have given it a bad rap. Um, and I'm talking about cults there, just to name it and bring it to light. But the thing is, like, just because someone is wanting to spread love or wanting to spread kindness or compassion to one another does not automatically mean they are in a cult or trying to start a cult. Um, it is true that people that are in pain and in suffering and looking for help are often, vulnerable, and are unfortunately taken advantage of by people that I guess chose that path for themselves. Um, And so the skepticism is valid. The skepticism is right, is valid. It makes a lot of sense. That's your brain's way of protecting you, protecting your body. Um, and it's okay. Like, it's okay if you're skeptical. The invitation there when it comes to exploring different things, exploring different teachings is it all comes back to learning to trust yourself, to trust your body, to trust your intuition and not lean on one like someone else to tell you how you should be or who you should be, but you determining for yourself who you want to be. Like taking in information from different people, not just myself, but take it in from plenty of different people, different resources, and determine for yourself what you want to believe, where you want to go, how you want to live your life. And so like the caution is like, yes, have skepticism. That's good. And also be curious and learn to trust yourself. That starts with connecting with yourself first and foremost. It starts with connecting with your body, your mind, your love, your kindness, your compassion for yourself, for your body, for your soul, for the actions that you have taken in your life. And when you truly know how to sink in and love yourself, then and trust yourself, then you're able to more easily discern, you know, who feels in alignment, who feels good, and who's throwing you bullshit. To be honest, um, so if you do have people trying to be like, well, you need to do this, or this is the only way to live, that would be definitely, if not a red flag, a yellow flag, a beige flag. Uh, yeah, I definitely believe in empowering others. I definitely believe in lifting each other up and encouraging you to trust yourself. Learning to trust yourself, learning to think into your own intuition, into your own connection to source and your own connection to love. Because there are good people out there. And I shouldn't use good or bad or whatever, but there are people out there that genuinely want to help you, or guide from a place of like unconditional love and not from a place that is trying to manipulate. But again, it is good to be skeptical. It is good to be cautious. Thank your body for showing you a place to be wary. And like I said, you get to decide. You get to decide what you learn, where you go, what you believe, what you value. My way is only one way, but it's not the only way. I just know for myself what I've come to learn and what I've come to know about love and light and joy and healing, and it's a path I wish to share with others. If it's for you, amazing. If it's not, that's okay. You'll find the person that you're meant to find, or you'll find it within yourself in whatever way you're meant to find it. So I don't know. All I have to say is I love you all. And this book is really interesting. I've been really enjoying it. Um, yeah, it's been really good. It's been really good. I like these little mini podcast moments. That said, let me see if I have anything else to say. Good morning. Hi, hello. Welcome, everyone. I think that concludes my Saved by the Light portion. That was a good discussion. That was a good off the cuff podcasty, talk showy teaching, I guess. um yeah, that feels good. I think I'm going to I'll keep the stream up. I'll put some gentle music on and I'm gonna go grab myself a little lunch. So feel free to listen to music. I'll be back in, I don't know, about 25 minutes ish, and then we can do some readings and things there. But yeah, I'm gonna go eat a little bit, and then I'll be right back. But thank you all for listening. Get you a little vibes, some little crystal music or some gentle meditation music. Just chill. Thank you. All right. I'll be back in roughly 25 minutes ish. We can jump into some other readings and things there. But all right. Love you all. See you shortly. Hello, hello. I'm back. For those that stuck around, I was on my little lunch break. Let me turn that background music down just a little bit. Okay. I feel more like a human again. Wherever I am, there was pop-up storms in the night that were quite loud. Quite loud. And they definitely disturbed the sleep. The wife woman feeling a little like today. That's a technical term, a technical description. Yeah. I'm just like, we live sort of close to a military base, and we do get notifications every now and again about trainings and like loud noises and whatever else to like warn us. But man, if I couldn't also hear the rain when I woke up from that thunder, I would have thought something was happening. To be honest, it was pretty intense. I'm not a huge fan of storms in the night. What do I even want to do? I don't know. I think I'm gonna bring a candle in. I feel like I need to bring a candle and let me adjust some of this stuff. Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to... Yeah, originally when I was thinking about streaming today, I was thinking of doing some trapped emotional clearings. I don't think I'm resourced enough to do that right now. I think even though I like had a lot of electrolytes and everything last night, but I think there's just kind of the storms and whatever else in the air got me feeling some kind of way. So I think I'm going to pull up my camera and let's just chat and do like a little altar build. It's away. Yeah. Kind of helping clear the energy. We do a little meditation. I don't know. Whatever feels right called into the space. I welcome all sorts of spiritual questions, non-spiritual questions, life questions. Well, this card doesn't want to go back in the box, and the box is literally the like instruction card, but I felt my eyes go to the relax. Take a few deep breaths, quiet your mind, and try to focus on listening to your intuition. So we're gonna do that together real quick. Take a few deep breaths here. I was like, I feel a little calmer. I'm a little sad. I think I'm a little sad. Or have a little sadness. Some temporary sadness moving through. This freaking card. Swear to God. It's fine. Or it will be okay. I'm not concerned about having emotions or showing emotions. This is me. Showing up authentically me, you know? I say that, I'm like, okay, I need to move my keyboard out of the way so I can build this altar. Fine. It's good. It's great. It's gonna be okay. We're just shuffling things around. Now, always forget to put something in the bag. Alright. Alright. Are we feeling that? Good. Let me get this here. This is quality content right now. Came to hear my moving shit around sounds. Okay. We've done it. Alright. Does anyone want a lighter candle for us? Thank you, Retro. Oh my gosh, and I pulled out like the nubbiest little matchstick. It's like, I know you have a short temper, so we're giving you a short a short match today. Okay. Let's see. We're gonna... What do I want to light this candle for? What are we feeling? I think it's just gonna be a general calling in the light today. Clearing out the old energy, calling in the light. Quickly, before I burn my fingers. Okay. Got candle. The other card, or the other thing I have on here is, actually, I don't think I need the whole deck, I just have the card. This is Benefactor, Grace, and Generosity. It was a card that popped out for me yesterday. I ended up not coming, or not streaming. I was looking at other vending events, or I was doing some admin-y things. Getting some vending applications put in for different things coming up this fall. But that was the card that popped out. I don't remember if it popped out while I was on a call with my mom, or... No. Did I talk to my mom yesterday? No, I think it just popped out as I felt kind of called to shuffle, and I've just kind of left it sitting there, but feels like it's coming into this space today, so we're gonna do... And it's a 3. Benefactor, Grace, and Jen. Else feels like we need to... Go get clean. But thanks. Ooh, we're bringing the Palo Santo out. So I don't use Palo Santo very much, to be honest. But it looks like a little piece of wood. I've used it only twice now. Is that true? Yeah, I've used it only twice. I used it once when I did like a ritualistic bath back in December. It was really, I don't know, just I had it. It was gifted to me by a spiritual friend of mine, and yeah, I used it as like a ritualistic bath back in December when I was kind of like being reborn. Hey Sesh Groove. And then I used it again. I'm Lady Lighthouse. And also my real name is Cammy. I used this about a month ago. I used it to kind of like clear the energy of the space. Or like my home. And I hadn't done it before, but it was just like it felt important because there was like a connection or like a lingering connection that was needed to be cleared. And so, I don't know, this is feeling like it's coming into the space to kind of represent that that transformation. Not necessarily those transformations, but like the concept or idea of transformation, being reborn, kind of new beginnings. Also bringing forward my little mini. It's a candle holder that's got the tree of life on it, but then I also have just a regular little quartz crystal ball. Bless you, Echo. Bless you. Okay, she's all better. But yeah, I like keeping the little crystal ball in my black candle holder with the tree of life. So I feel like that's coming in. And this kind of feels... It's very much just giving me like a future, like see into the future vibes. What else? Other thing that's kind of coming forward and my eyes are going to is my manifestation corner or quarter. If you've lurked before, or if this is your first time, welcome. Welcome, Lady Lighthouse. Or your local shaman, Lady Lighthouse. This is a quarter that, again, if you've been here before, you've heard the story. If you haven't been here, then the short version is I tried manifesting a quarter 8 or so months ago, came to me in a dream, and my team was basically like, dream bigger. And then a couple months ago, I was eating some chocolate, and I took a bite of it, and it was like in one of those like wrappers. And I took a bite of it, and there was no chocolate, or like there was no quarter in there. Put the chocolate bar down, came back to the chocolate bar 30 seconds later, because it was just like right there on the side, like the side of the couch, and there was suddenly this quarter in the wrapper. And let me tell you, there was no place for that quarter to have come into the chocolate bar. I don't store my chocolate in the same place as my money. And so this is just kind of like my ongoing symbolism for like manifestation, or like manifestations coming into the 3D. Thank you for the subscription, Sesh Groove. Woohoo! The quarter is working. So yeah, that's kind of a quarter, or like that's representing like manifestations coming into reality. then trying to see where else are my eyes being drawn. What do I want to bring forward? Let me go grab a couple things off my shelf. Other thing that's coming forward is my little rose quartz toothless. The rose quartz is all about love and coming back to self. Or at least that's what it's meant for me. And then, oh man, are we bringing that into this? Okay. So, where do I want to start? Okay. Okay. Hold on. I need a few breaths here for a second. Yeah, so the toothless, I'll do a minor trigger warning. Minor trigger warning. I'm not gonna go into details, but I will do a trigger warning for anyone. So please leave if you think you might get triggered or alarmed. But like I said, I'm not going to go into a ton of details, but I think the reason this is coming forward, this little like toothless creature or like toothless figurine, is because back in college, my freshman year of college, I was sexually assaulted, and the movie that was playing in the background was How to Train Your Dragon. And I fucking loved that movie up until that point, and then I couldn't watch that movie for like 6 or 7 years. But the new like live action remake just came out, and I just saw it this past weekend, and I know that like that's been you go through layers of like healing from sexual assault trauma, and like each time you kind of come back to something new. And mine has been coming up in the last couple of days again. It's kind of like, I guess, uncovering what might be still lingering there. Because, like I said, the How to Train Your Dragon movie, I went and saw it, and it was good. I was glad I saw it. Because I remember I did rewatch that movie on Netflix a couple years ago by myself to like reclaim the movie as my own, because like I said, I freaking love that movie, and I was so upset that that movie got kind of a bad memory associated with it. And when I watched it by myself a few years ago, you know, I bawled my eyes out. And at no particular point, it was just I was bawling my eyes out as I was like reclaiming seeing the movie, and like loving myself through it. And then when I went and saw it this weekend with my husband in theaters, it was good. It was just like I wasn't as emotional. I mean, I still probably like got emotional with the movie, but there's like a reclamation, or like there's another layer of like reclamation happening for me right now. It feels like as it comes to that, because even last night I've been going in like West Coast swing dancing and taking lessons, and then go to social dances, And so last night was a lesson night, and there was a person there that showed up it was the first time I saw them come to the lesson, but they had the same name as the person who assaulted me. And I was like, it's okay. Not all people with the same name are bad people. Like, it's okay. Like, I'm fine. I'm safe. This is good. Like, we're having a good time. Like, this is fine. I feel, you're welcome. I feel somewhat emotional in this moment and sharing this. Hold on. I'm gonna mute myself for just a second. Well, thank you all for seeing me. I did not plan to bring that into the space today. But thank you. Thank you for seeing me. Yeah. I said this altar just kind of feels like a reclamation, and it feels like one of the messages that I've kind of been feeling too as it relates to, my story and that being a catalyst, because my assault was definitely a catalyst to a lot of health problems. Like I had some health problems growing up. Like I had I got Lyme's disease when I was 13, and basically from then on I was sick a lot. But part of that, I don't think all of that was necessarily like Lyme's disease. I think Lyme's disease was a catalyst, and that taught me how much like love and care I could get from my family and my parents if I was sick. And so I think I do think I did get sick a lot, but I also think some of it was my body craving love and connection in a way, and so it ended up me being sick a lot because when I was sick, I got a lot of nurturing love from my parents and from those around me. So that was like 13 was a catalyst, and then whenever, again, my assault happened when I was 18. Yeah, I was 18, and then that kind of kickstarted. With that happening and being in college and being in engineering school and taking here in the US, and it was like 17 to 19 credit hours, like a semester. Um, and kind of supporting myself through college. I definitely had a lot of health issues, and that kickstarted a lot of like my pelvic floor issues with lots of like cysts, and I got diagnosed with endometriosis, and I ended up having several surgeries and PCOS, and I had several surgeries throughout college. Um, but one of the things that's kind of like been coming up in as I've been reflecting on this quarter and manifestation is just like that whatever I've been holding on to, or whatever's kind of like lingering that I've been holding on to as it relates to that like catalyst event has been what's kind of like holding me back from being able to manifest fully. Felt good just to say that out loud, to be honest. I'm just taking a breath there. This feels just really good. This feels like it almost feels like this side is sort of past, present, future. It's like this gives future, this gives looking towards the future. This is like a cleansing, a transformation, new beginnings. And these kind of feel like what's lingering in the past, but also like giving love and that like manifestation coming. Damn. Was Thank you, Max. The funny thing is like I've known for a very long time, to be honest. It was like pretty closely after I had like within a month or two of kind of going through my catalyst event. I'll call it a catalyst event. I like that better. Anyway, but when I had that catalyst event in college, I was still sort of going to church at that time, and I remember there was one message that was basically like where they invited you to like tune in and ask, you know, in prayer, you know, what your purpose is. And I remember hearing at that time, it was like the message was, you are meant to hurt so others don't have to. And while that message sounds really glim or bleak, like that message kept me going for a really long time. That you are meant to hurt so others don't have to. And to be honest, that's how I found my I mean, that's what ultimately led me here, but it was just like that helped me see, even though it like upset me when I first heard it, it gave me like a purpose or a mission and belief that, you know, whatever I was experiencing or whatever I would come to experience and go through, uh, it was serving a purpose, and that I like was meant to help others in some capacity with what I've learned and what I've gone through and experienced. It's good. It's a few months ago it came up again, and so I think we're kind of releasing that story of like I that was the story that got me here, was, you know, and that was the purpose and mission that got me here, which was the whole, you know, you hurt so others don't have to, like your pain serves a purpose. And I think it kind of coming up right now in this space too is a good reminder for myself and others, but for myself, that it's time to let that go. Time to let that story go. It's time to let that purpose go. It's time to let that message go, that I no longer need to hurt to help others. My time of hurting or my time of being in suffering is done. I'm not saying I won't have pain again. Like pain is just a fact of life. It will happen. But I don't need to keep telling myself or stay in the state of that I need to hurt. I don't need to hurt anymore. I've hurt enough, damn it. I've suffered enough. Yeah. Thank you, Matt. Just holding my hands back over here, but I'm basically just kind of holding them out here and kind of directing my energy towards the light, towards the flame. That I'm grateful for you all seeing me and hearing me and listening, even if I'm just in the background while you're doing something else. That's fine. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for hearing me. Thank you for your time. Really grateful. And thank you for lurking, if you're lurking. Yeah. Yeah, this is an interesting moment for me to both feel very I feel equally really vulnerable, to be honest. Um and also really like teachery. I feel both like the both and. I feel both the inner child healing and like wanting to nourish and love her, but also feeling the like woman within kind of coming forward too and wanting to just like, you know, interact and share. And it's a fascinating experience of like the both and showing up. A lot of my I mean, a lot of my healing has been behind closed doors. Like a lot of my healing has been me in my dance studio moving, or me meditating, or me in the night dreaming, or me doing like energy work on myself. And sometimes posting things on social media, but not a ton. Well, yes and no. I used to have a different Instagram account that I would post like some of my movement stuff and like kind of what I was learning, and I ended up just like deleting that. Um, ooh, a left ringing in my ear coming in. I should say a ringing in my left ear, not a left ringing. But yeah, like I said, a lot of the healing had been really private, which is okay. Like I don't judge that. I think it's okay. That is what felt right for me. Um, but it's a really interesting experience to have just cried on stream, you know? But also have like sort of cried in community. Like I've done a few like women's retreats, and I've had a lot of healing at those as well. Um, Different kinds of large and small. And those have been so good. So nourishing. It is funny too. I'm thinking like as I'm sitting here too, I'm like I whenever my husband and I kind of came back together at the beginning of this year, um we had said like, oh, if we're gonna well, I had already had been feeling like stuff about our relationship would be like coming forward and being used to help others. Um, because trust me, we're definitely not we're definitely not perfect. We've definitely worked through a lot of shit. And we will probably continue to work through things, and that's okay. Um, But I could feel at the beginning of this year that a lot of what we've gone through and overcome and the struggles that we've faced will like come into a teaching space and come into a place of helping and healing for others. And one of the thoughts that I was just having was like whenever we came back together, he's like, yeah, you can do that, like that's fine, but like just like wait 6 months. It's like it was too raw at that point. And I don't know if today is exactly 6 months from that, but I was just doing the math in my head that I think we're really close if it's not. I put it in note. Oh, actually, it was July 13th would have been the 6 month mark. So 3 days passed. Yeah, cool. Cause yeah, let me tell you, me having that like, where do I even want to keep going down this road? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, if you all want to keep listening, I welcome the listen. um, but where I was going with that was the so our relationship has taken many different forms. We met in high school, and we started dating our senior year. We went to college sort of together. I mean, we went to the same college, and it was in the spring of my freshman year that I broke up with him. And when I was single, that was during the period of time that I had the catalyst event happen. And then my husband and I came back together that later that summer, around the time that I needed to have my first surgery. And then we had different styles of relationship for many years. We tried different things in our relationship. Or I should say like different relationship or connection styles. And then we got engaged right after the day we graduated from undergrad. Got married a year later. But all through that time, and like all through those like first several years of marriage, it was like my trust with men was pretty damaged. It was pretty damaged, and even when we got married, I remember we got married during COVID, and so even when we got married, I remember being in shock for like several months afterwards, because my parents are divorced, his parents are divorced, and so we already have like a bunch of divorce in the families, and even one of my brothers was like, you all won't last more than 5 years. And so it was just like, we got married and I was like, I can't believe we did that. I did that. And then those next 4-ish years, 3-ish years was like we got married, and I guess the safety of the legal paperwork that was marriage allowed, like, freed up space for me to be able to like think into healing. And also I was out of school at that point, so I was, and like working full time, so I was able to like actually focus on taking care of my health and taking care of who I was. And so I went on like a pretty deep healing journey, took a ton of different courses and classes. Him and I were like, for the people that get married and they're like, that first year is a honeymoon and great, like, I am happy for you if that is the life you had or the experience you had. I did not have that experience. Our first few years was rough. Was really rough. Yeah, we argued a lot. I had lots of like trying to overcome like a sexual trauma. It was like that aspect of like sex, or that aspect of our relationship was always been a sticking point or an issue. Or it had always been. We're good now. But we figured it out. We worked through the shit we needed to work through. But like for many years, it was tumultuous. Always a point of contention. Where am I going with this? I don't know, that brings me to like the end of last year. We were working through a lot of different things. I was tuning into my intuition, getting things. And there's so many points in time to call out that could be helpful for others. But I'm just like, that's just too many to just like choose from at this moment. That just kind of gets called into the space when it gets called into space. So I'll just say those first few years of marriage were not sunshines and rainbows. Though we kept choosing each other and we kept trying our damnedest to make it work. But then at the end of last year, I felt it coming, that, or like I was like afraid that he was gonna die. I kept feeling like he was gonna die, or something about that. Then I eventually realized that the feeling of him dying was actually the death of the relationship and not necessarily him physically dying, because I have a boundary around predicting death. But I didn't know it at that time. But once I figured it out, that was a feeling of that version of our relationship and who we had been was dying. Like, I didn't make a plan. So I know many people, and I know even my mom was like, you should have made a plan and like figured out what you were gonna do, and I did not. I was like, as soon as I knew that I needed to leave, or like that was my next step for myself, like I wrote a letter, I read him the letter, and I was gone within like 24 hours. Like, it was yeah, it was quick. It was not well thought out, but it worked out, because that I ended up being gone for 30 days, and I should mind you that that was definitely a risk. It was definitely the most painful period of my life. I believe it was also probably one of the most painful moments, if not the most painful moment of my husband's life, or period of time. And like, it was just, I mean, it was deeply painful. It was deeply healing. It was deeply growing, deeply transformative. But it was deeply, deeply painful, and I do not recommend it. If you can avoid it. If you can avoid it, I do not recommend it. He does not recommend it. I think he's not one to cry. I've only seen him cry. I think I've only seen him cry one time in our 10 plus year relationship, and he told me that when I left was one of the periods of time, like that was probably the first time he had cried in several years. So, you know, we don't recommend that route if you can avoid it. The good news for us was that we were able to reconcile, we were able to come back together, we were able to do a ton of self-reflection, and the previous version of our relationship did ultimately die. Our relationship now is completely different than it was the first 10 years. And that's one of the reasons why on our wedding anniversary this year we ended up renewing our vows and doing a little something like extra special, and we ended up like framing our vows too, because it's just like we learned that like love is a choice, or the person that you're with is a choice. And like you can love someone and stop choosing them. That doesn't mean you stop loving them. It just means that you might step away. 'Cause like that was, I knew I loved him. I knew I loved him a lot, but I felt like I needed to leave. And so I am grateful for all the different things that I did learn, and I am ultimately grateful I left. Because I am a stubborn hoe at times, and so I do think that I was not picking up the message any other way. And so it was unfortunate for both of us, especially like the pain I caused him in that that's how I had to learn my lesson, or the lessons that I'm, now feeling ready to share more of. But it was, it's a part of our journey. It's a part of how we've grown stronger in our connection. Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Max. I'm glad you all were able to take that time apart and come back together, because that was the thing too, is whenever we were healing, whenever we were growing, and I was feeling like I needed some space to figure something out, and I just like whatever I was doing wasn't enough. Like I tried, I would go on different women's retreats. I would go, I don't remember if I tried sleeping in the other room, like, because we have a guest bedroom or not. But I would definitely try going on like little girls weekends or something, just to like get space. And I think what I ultimately needed was truly, deeply just me. Like I needed to be in my own energy, my own space for some amount of time. And to be honest, like I figured out me leaving, by the end of a week of me leaving, I had my like really big Kundalini awakening, spoke to spirit or source for the first time, or God, whoever you want to call him, for the first time, and was like totally convinced there, totally like I knew what role I had played in the relationship, and all of and like what viewpoints I was holding. I was like holding me back. It was just like it took me a week, roughly a week, to get that all sorted, and then it took me the remaining 3 weeks to slowly try to rebuild the trust that I had broken. For us to be able to come back together, and for him to allow me to move home, basically, because I had moved out and was staying at a family member's house who was out of town, so I had space to myself, but yeah. So if there's anyone else listening that feels like, you know, you want to leave, try just taking a solo trip for a weekend, and if that's not enough, try a solo trip for 1 week. 1 week. Try 1 week. If that solo trip for 1 week where you don't get to talk to them doesn't bring to light anything, or doesn't help you see where you need to go in that relationship, well, it will definitely give you insights on what you're needing. But it's got to be a week of like minimal to no contact with whoever that is you're struggling with. Hey DFX. Yeah, we're just kind of chatting today, doing some combos. I don't know if I'm gonna do offerings. I wasn't feeling resourced enough to do offerings. Kind of sharing some of my story with the nice little altar. Yeah, that's. I think that would be. Oh yeah, my dad used to always say to me, if you love someone, set them free. If they come back, it's meant to be. And to be honest, that was the second time I had left my husband, because the first was our like breakup in when we were just dating. But I also always have felt, at least what's felt true to me, is the adage of like third time's a charm, or like good things come in threes, or I don't know, like 3 has been a powerful number. And so I always felt like, and there's a 3 right here, and I always kind of felt like, maybe not always, but after that separation happened, or after I left last year, and I got the clarity I needed, I was like, oh no. It wasn't that I was afraid that he was gonna die, it was just like, I knew that version of our relationship needed to die, but I know like who he's going to become, or I had a sense of who he would become, and it was like, we just had to work through the dirt, the grit, all of the crap that we weren't facing to get here. He is a Scorpio. But now this one feels complete. Like this one feels like I could never say up until we came back together this time, I was never able to be like, oh, I promise you the future, like forever. Like anytime anyone spoke about, you know, um, those really big romantic, I'll love you forever adages, I was like, what? Like I was unable to connect with that. Um, and so that was something I had to work through too, is like this feeling about forever, or what that meant to me, or what I'm able to, or if I felt like that would be true now. And with this particular relationship, or like with our relationship now, um, with having us come back together, I do feel comfortable like saying to him and anyone that I was like, no, like I will love him forever. Like this is a forever kind of love. And it feels it feels kind of cool to say that. 6 months ago, I would have been freaking the fuck out. But I'm like, no, like it feels like that feels exciting to say now, whereas all of the years leading up to now, I was like, this is ugh. Like I can't promise that. You don't know that. Okay. Interesting. Thank you for sharing. Kind of. Very cool. I stay aware of astrology, but it's not my strong point. It's like I kind of dabble in a bunch of different things where I'm aware enough to be like, okay, I have a rough idea of what's going on. But I really, to be honest, I really when it comes to like partnerships and what zodiac sign or things are happening, I really only care about what's happening for me. I'm like, I'm a Cancer. I just had my birthday a week and a half ago. So I'm like, all right. What's in the forecast for me? Cool. And my husband's a Scorpio, and so I'm like, and I know I get along. I connect really well with Scorpios, and I connect a lot with other Cancers, with all of our deep emotions. So that's about my level of astrology. And then there's some stuff with the planets. I've looked into some stuff with human design and in my chart as well, and I poked around at that as I was healing and growing to kind of like help me understand myself a little, but thanks. I have enough information about all of these other areas that it's just kind of like I can point people in a direction of like, you might benefit from looking at this, or oh, you might benefit from looking at this, but I might not be the explicit person to teach you. I just am the little like funnel to be like, here you go. This is probably, go check this out. Go check this out. What an emotional time. This is good though. This was This has been really, cathartic and also really lovely to just come on here and chat and share a little bit of my story and share this altar. And I'm not saying I'm done, it's just been nice. This has been nice. I liked this, this little offering. Or like this little, like this interaction, sharing, connecting. Welcome to any lurkers. Your local shaman lady Lighthouse. We're just being authentic and vulnerable and speaking from the heart. Happy Mercury Day, Zarya. Glad to see you back. Ooh, yay. Stretches sound kind of good, to be honest. I think I'll probably have to stretch after the stream. I was like, I could stretch right now, but I'm not not quite wearing the clothes I would like to stretch in. You might get more of a show than you bargained for. Slash, I'm not quite prepared to give that much of a show. But I'm glad. I'm glad the weather's so good for you. Yeah, I'm feeling like, to be honest, I feel like I kind of want to like meditate or like lay down and get some Reiki or do some Reiki on myself and meditate, but I want to leave this altar up. So I think I'm going to leave the altar up and leave up the music. I'm gonna lay down for a little bit and just off to the side. I probably won't probably change this to be emote only, so that way I won't be able to monitor it, but yeah. Thank you. Thank all of you for your time and for, like I said, and Max, thank you for chatting with me. Zarya, Retro, and everyone else who's kind of popped in, but thank you. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for honoring me. Thank you for respecting me. I appreciate you all. I love you all. And I'll put this on for a little bit, and then I don't think I'll be on tonight because I'm meeting up with a friend of mine. But then I will be doing an evening. I'll probably do 2 streams tomorrow, but I will for sure do an evening stream tomorrow, or a late night Eastern time zone stream. So I don't know what that will be wherever you are, but it will be an evening stream for me. Hopefully be able to do some other offerings, but yeah, let me get this rated. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. Do I have? Good time moving around live. Don't mind. Alright, last chance. Put any words in chat before I put it as emote only, and we move to just strictly a meditation altar offering. Hey loves, I'm muting myself and going off to go meditate. Feel free to hang out in the vibes, enjoy watching the candle, call in whatever you feel called to call in the altar. Like I said, or like what I shared, was that it felt very much about clearing, bringing in new beginnings, and manifestation and abundance. So, releasing what no longer serves you, calling in the light. Also to love, the light. You love. My loves, this is going to conclude my stream for the afternoon or for the day. Thank you so much for those that tuned in, that listened, that received, that saw me shared in this space. New, welcome to the Light Network. Lurked, welcome in. I'm glad to have you. Sending you all so much love and light on your life's journey to follow, like, subscribe, and all the different places that you go. Hope you tune in next time. See you soon, my loves. Bye for now.